society just wants to shut that stuff down. I want to shut it down. We can't have that, because men doing their thing, when a man has his mind set to do his thing, that man can't be controlled. So we got to shut that man down, separate him, isolate him, and keep him in line so we can keep the wheels of society on and get world production. That's really what it comes down to. So, a super chat, somebody super chatted the question. This is a video for Sean G. He basically asked, Kev, can you go ahead and explain why guys continually simp for women and the dangers of simping? Okay, for people who don't know what simping is, it basically means being a fool for a woman. Being a fool for a woman. And putting her needs above yours to the detriment of yourself. Why guys do it? We do it because it's safe. We do it for a lot of reasons. But if you were born after 1970, you were raised in a world like I was, where equal rights amendment, women were independent, all these other things. And a lot of people were raised by single parent households, and women, we were taught to be nice guys, be respectful of one, open the door, all those things. You know, guys before knew how to do that stuff. They didn't have to be taught. They just learned it from their fathers and the family and the society and culture. Well, women taught their sons how to be men. So obviously you got a generation of softer men, and conversely a generation of harder women. Well, when you leave your mama's house and go to school, that's the first time a lot of guys were around boys. Then our boy tendencies started to pop up and manifest themselves, you know. So especially if you were like me, an only child, it was just me and my mom and around her sisters. Oh my God, it's a wonder I didn't turn out to be gay. And so I've heard a lot of people say that, but I don't, you know, that's a subject for a whole nother time. And you know, look, I'm conservative on some things, I'm liberal on some things, but I really do believe in men should be able to be men. And when we're out, and when you're in high school, you have your friends. When you go to college, that's the first time a lot of guys get a chance to really be themselves. You join fraternities, you go party, no parents around, nobody to supervise. Guess when a lot of people had their most success in relationships with women? Why? Because you're around other guys. You're out in a group. When men are broke, we pal around. We have clubs and stuff. But look what happens after college. We all get domesticated. We leave college. We go to work in a company. Automatically, you're not around groups of men anymore. Even your fraternity brothers, even your boys. You move to a city. You go work in a company that has a culture that is very much like our society. Then you get involved in a relationship. All of a sudden, you got a bunch of men walking around like neutered zombies. We remember, it's like caged lions. That's a better thing. If you look back and see, look in the zoo. There's nothing worse than to see a lion that's in a cage and they feed him. If that lion was born in captivity, that's one thing. But a lion that roamed on the prairie, on the Serengeti, that's a whole nother thing. Guys, we all have that lion in us. But we have all been programmed and taught that being a nice guy is the way to be. That's why we end up simping. Simping is a symptom of programming. So when I was telling the stories yesterday about how I would go from, you know, doing what a guy should do to being this nice guy and end up getting abused and mistreated by women, that was an internal conflict going on in me, of me trying to basically fight against my programming. Another thing though is, even after a guy knows better, we go back to simping because it's safe. We know how to simp. That's it. We just know how. It's no different than why don't people go work out at the gym? Why don't people eat better? Why don't people, you know, dress better? It's not a matter of knowledge. Arguably, we're the most knowledgeable society that's ever existed. We have access to information like no time before in human history. It's not a matter of information. It's a matter of, if I change, I'll have to do something that I'm not familiar with. and I'm familiar with being a simp. I'm familiar with being a nice guy. I'm familiar with doing the things that people want me to do to be acceptable, and I know what I get. Now, here's a twist. We get comfortable with it. It's kind of like, I mean, think about all the sayings we have in our world. You know, if you can't be with the one you love the one you're with. Be content.